Star Wars collectors, and welcome to episode 48 of Ask Bossk's Bounty. This is of course the weekly Q&A where you guys get to ask me questions in the comment section below, and each week I do my very best to answer them. I do apologise right now if I do not get round to answering your question in this week's video. I had loads and loads of questions last week, but I am answering quite a few questions this week, and a lot of them will be quick fire answers because there's just so many to get through. And I know I say that quite often, but really these will be quick fire answers just to get through the amount of questions that we've got. I do love hearing from you guys, so make sure that you leave your question in the comment section below for next week's episode. And of course, don't forget to drop a like, thumbs up on this video, and subscribe if you're new to the channel, of course. Now, in last week's video, we did have the details of the 10,000 subscriber giveaway competition, which the results of will be announced in next week's video, so be sure to tune in for that one as well. But with all that being said, let's get on to the first question of this week. Adam Guggenheim says, question, why hasn't Hasbro shown off the paint job for the Razor Crest? Isn't that odd? I think they showed the paint finish off on the barge. It's expensive, so a bad surprise is a bad surprise. This is supposed to be a metalized finish, which could look great or a big disappointment. Okay, so answer the first part of your question, no, I do not think it's odd. If we go back to when they announced the barge, they had a video which Steve Evans and Mark Boudreau were presenting, and they only had digital images of the barge. In fact, the only part of it that was coloured were the orange sails, which are like a material colour. The actual paint job for the barge was not announced till later, so no, I do not think it's odd. Does it worry me about the paint scheme for the Razor Crest potentially? Yes, because obviously it is a shiny metal, and obviously Hasbro, especially for the droids and things like that, do not do that metalized anymore. So we'll have to see what that turns out like, but it's a Haslab project and I'm pretty sure they'll sort it out one way or the other. 46 Zone says, great job on the 10k subs. Question for next week. What would be your 10k Razor Crest incentive add-on for the Haslab campaign? So as of recording this video, we've already had what the stretch goal will be for the 10k, and that is of course the child on his own card with the pod, which I think's awesome. Needs to be in the regular release as well though, some kind of child character or figure. I think that's only fair for the people that aren't going to be getting the Razor Crest. So what do I think would be next when we do actually hit 10k? Because I'm sure there'll be another stretch goal, maybe at 12,000. I'm thinking that would be a nice number, I think. And I'm really hoping for the carbonite blocks. In fact, I really can't believe we haven't had those as part of the stretch goals already. The little clips are there for them to hang from in the Razor Crest, so where are they? Unless they're going to really blow us away with figures and characters next year on cardback with a carbonite block like that blue guy from the first episode. I'm not going to try and remember his name on this video, but you know the guy I mean. He's the guy that gets frozen first, you know. We need him. So will they blow us away and do things like that? Probably not. But do we need the carbonite blocks for the Razor Crest? 100% we do. David Wells says, loving the videos as always. Thank you very much, David. Question, what version of the Rebel Fleet Trooper figures would you recommend to buy to go with the Vintage Collection Tantive IV hallway playset? Many congrats on reaching 10,000 subscribers. Very well deserved. Thank you very much, David. Okay, so I would obviously recommend getting the Vintage Collection version from back in 2010, but I do understand that that figure may be hard to get or quite expensive. Obviously, we're getting one in the set. I, like you, want more of those figures, so I'm probably going to be looking out for the figure from the Power of the Jedi line. It's not super articulated, but it looks pretty decent, and I think that's probably the next best thing to the Vintage Collection version. Star Wars Collector says, love your videos. Question, do you think we'll ever get a Vintage Collection Grief Karga and the child from the Mandalorian? Well, we're definitely getting the child because he's going to be packed in with the Razor Crest on a card back. We'll probably get him in the normal line as well, but maybe not on that particular card back. I think that'll be exclusive to the Razor Crest. And as for Grief Karga, I think he's in Series 1 and 2. I think he'll be inevitable. He's definitely coming out for the Black Series, and we'll probably get him for the Vintage Collection somewhere along the line. Hell Meat says, favourite letter, Wing Fighter. By the way, congrats on the milestone. It's a huge achievement. Thank you very much, Hell Meat. X-Wing all the way. Liam K says, congratulations on 10k. What figures do you expect to be announced on the Mando Mondays? Do you think they'll be related to Season 2? I don't think they will be. I think we'll get the details of the Beskar Mandalorian, Moff Gideon, and the Vintage Collection Armourer. And I think that'll be our lot, because those are due to come out at the end of the year. Ultra Chicago says, congratulations. Which figure was the most disappointing that you had high expectations? And the reverse, which did you have low expectations and was pleasantly surprised? Kevin. So number one, it's got to be the Captain Rex. I was hugely disappointed when they announced the Captain Rex that's going to be coming out in the Darth Vader wave at the end of the year. They're using the old 3.75 inch Black Series version, which is hugely disappointed, and I've got to say I had high expectations for that figure and they've disappointed me. Another figure that I got was the Black Series L3 from Solo. See my review on that one. Awful figure. As for a figure that I was pleasantly surprised by was the Vintage Collection Admiral Akbar. I think that's a phenomenal figure and it's loads better than the new Black Series version one in my opinion. Eddie says, congrats on reaching 10,000. I discovered your vid during lockdown and it helped me pass some of the time, so thanks. That's great. Thank you very much, Eddie. Question, what individual figure do you have the most copies of? I would probably say it's this guy, the Scarif Stormtrooper. He came out in the 3.75 inch Black Series where I picked up a couple, and I've also probably got maybe 10 of these carded because they came out on sale on In-Demand Toys and I just picked up a load of them because they had loads of them to sell and I thought it'd be a good army builder. Justin Matthews says, hi, are you going to buy one of the Black Series holiday Christmas figures? I collect 6-inch but I'm staying away from this abomination. Quick answer on that one, I will not be picking any of those up. Connor G says, much love Bossk and congrats. If you were a Jedi, what colour lightsaber would you use? 100% green. Douglas Wallace says, congratulations on 10,000 subscribers. Well done. What is your opinion of the 1980s tri-logo carded figures and how common were they in the UK? How common are they now? And do you have any in your collection? Thank you for all the great videos. So the only one I have in my collection is the Han Solo trench coat. He's in pretty decent condition, unpunched card. These are very common in the UK. So to save money in Europe, essentially what they did is they did the tri-logo instead of having like Palatoy cards and Meccano cards and things like that. They just distributed them all on one card. I was never really a massive fan of these purely because of the big bubble. You always had these oversized bubble for each figure and the weapons always rattled around inside. They never sellotaped them and the figures rattled around. Whereas if you compare that to, you know, like a Kenner figure, for example, you can really see how tightly Squid Head is in there. So they are quite common, and that's the only one I have. Doug Noth says, congrats on getting to 10k without clickbait. Thank you very much. Do you play any of the Star Wars video games, and if so, which is your favourite? I'll probably say my favourite Star Wars video games were the Rogue Squadron games on the N64, I want to say. Maybe some of those were on the GameCube, can't really remember. I do like Battlefront 2 and I have bought the new Squadrons game, just getting into it. It's pretty hard, but I'm enjoying it. It's good. Keegan Nabal says, hi Boss, question, do you think they're going to re-release Power of the Force Retro Wave? Not anytime soon. That would probably maybe in another 20 years time. You can still pick up those figures, you know, 10 a penny. They're everywhere still. So I don't think Hasbro would be in any rush to produce a retro line of those. I just do not think they're old enough yet. And yeah, considering you can still pick them up, the ones that originally came out in the mid-90s, I don't think a retro wave is coming anytime soon. Jackson C says, congrats on 10k. Question, do you support the remake Rex movement that has recently started? Absolutely, of course I support it, but I do think it's too late for that particular release. That figure is on its way. It's probably already produced. It's probably in a warehouse somewhere ready to be shipped to everybody. It's due out, at the end of this year. So there's no stopping that one, unfortunately, like we did with the Revan figure. They announced the Revan figure way before any card images were announced or anything, and it was a previous 30th anniversary figure. So, you know, the fans had time to say, we don't like that, and they reacted and pulled that figure. But that was way before it was even due to be released. So this one, I'm afraid, is coming. But yes, of course, a new Rex is what we need, and maybe they'll listen and do one in the future in the style of those ARC Troopers that we've just got. DV Maggio 75 says, congratulations on your 10,000. I have a question for next week. Would you like to see more Hoth soldiers or a Hoth playset? Hoth battle is one of my favourite sequences in Star Wars. Greetings from Germany, from Daniel. So 100% Daniel, I'm with you. The Hoth scenes are some of my favourite scenes from Star Wars as well. And I would love to see more Hoth characters. Obviously, we could do with a re-release of the Echo-based soldier to start with. I think a lot of people would agree with that. He's quite hard to get hold of and, you know, great for army building. In terms of playsets and everything, I would love like a Hoth style playset like we got in the vintage days. And also things like this. You know, this was a vintage Kenner little mini rig, and this was in the Empire Strikes Back. And it's probably not in scale, but it's something that I would love to see in the vintage collection in a vintage style box. So I'm with you 100% there, Daniel. More Hoth scenes, please, Hasbro. Arc 101 Bricks says, question for next week, which clones would you like to see in a battle pack if they were ever to release one? So I think the coolest battle pack would be something called like the Battalion Battle Pack, where you get one newly sculpted, highly detailed version of the standard clone trooper from that battalion. So you could have the 501st, the 212th, the 327th, etc., etc., all in one battle pack. Maybe 4 different kinds, maybe a shock trooper in there as well or something. I think that would be absolutely awesome. You'd get your definitive clones with the proper sized helmets all in one battle pack. So that's something that I would love to see. The Garage Gamer says, do you use a database or some sort of online checklist for your vintage collection figures? If so, which ones do you use? So I'm going to do a shameless plug for my own website now. In the description below for this video, you will see a link to a vintage collection checklist. I've done my best to record everything that ever came out in the vintage collection on that checklist. In terms of checking my own collection, I just use an Excel spreadsheet on my computer to mark down which ones I've got and which ones I need. You know, do I need the foil variant of him? Do I need the revenge card of him? Etc, etc. Do I have him loose? That kind of thing. So I use Excel for that, but in terms of just like a visual guide, I put together a nice page that you can check out. Jason Liers says, congrats on 10k. Question for next week. I think the vintage collection is lacking the Imperial commanders like Admiral Piet, Admiral Ozzel, Captain Nida, etc. What are your thoughts? I agree with you 100%, Jason. It is lacking and we need those guys in the vintage collection. Commander Doom says, congrats on 10k subs. My question for next week, what is your favourite 6-inch Black Series figure? So I'm not going to ruin it in this video, but I did a whole video of my top 10 Black Series figures. I'll leave a link in the description below or a little card up here or something that you can click on to watch that video after this one. John Ratcliffe says, congratulations on getting to 10,000 subs. Love the channel. Keep up the good work. Thank you, John. Question for next week. Given the lack of enthusiasm over recent repacked figures, do you think Hasbro should give the fans a chance to vote on which figures they would like to be released and also which new figures they have yet to be released, like Bib Fortuna, Lobot, Ugnaughts, Krennic, etc.? Yeah, this is a bit of a touchy subject really, because whenever they've done sort of fan votes before, they can often be a little bit sketchy about the results. I think the Dr. Aphra one was a little bit dodgy of how that actually came about. I think a few people thought it was a bit fixed or something like that. So it is a bit difficult. I think Hasbro definitely need to pay attention more to the community and look on sort of Reddit and forums and videos, channels like mine, for what people are saying in the comment section and what people actually want. But in terms of that latest wave that they've announced with the Peasant Anakin, yeah, extremely lackluster. It's very, very strange choice of characters for that wave, I must admit. Luis Escalante says, hi Bossk, the best part of the day is watching your videos. Thank you very much, Luis. His question is, do you think we'll get the High Republic Vintage Collection line, or the vintage will stay forever with the Skywalker saga, all the way from Mexico? I think it'll all come down to the success and how much Disney want to push that new High Republic thing. I don't think we'll get anything in the vintage collection while it stays in books and comics necessarily, but if they start making films around or TV shows around the High Republic, then I think it will be inevitable that we will get figures from those lines. But while it's just in books and comics, I don't think we will. JH17 says, thank you, Bossk, for always bringing out quality content. Thank you very much, JH17. Kind of you to say that. Do you think Hasbro will wait until the Return of the Jedi anniversary to release the new Bib Fortuna? Yeah, I think that's more than likely. It's a shame, but I can't see them, you know, building a new figure from the ground up for him and bringing him out unless it's some kind of anniversary. Bit of a shame, but probably 2023 we'll see that. John Sanders says, congratulations on 10,000 subscribers. Tim, do you feel the Legacy collection was the best run for variety like I do? I'm not sure if it's the best, but I think it definitely did have a lot of variety and a lot of weird, strange characters that you wouldn't normally see in other lines, essentially. So take this guy, he's a really good example. This is Nine Num or Nin Num, whichever way you want to call it, but he's dressed in his B-Wing pilot outfit. Now, this guy had about 2 seconds of screen time in the briefing room on Return of the Jedi where he was in that outfit. So for Hasbro to make that, I think that's awesome. And obviously that was the Legacy collection. Then you got these 4 guys here. I mean, he should really be on a vintage card anyway. But to get these ones, you know, Jiran, very little screen time. Nikto Gunner, very little screen time. Then you got Bane Malar, which I think was even just a deleted scene. So all of those Legacy collections. So yeah, I agree. There was a lot of variety in the Legacy Collection. Fantastic line. Ryan Gunwich Black, question, what alien character would you most like to see in the Vintage Collection, and do you think Hasbro will ever do as many as we got from the original Kenner days? So I'm going to address the second part of your question there. I think Hasbro have given us more than we had in the Vintage Kenner days. If you take, for example, this guy's race, the Niktos. We've had the Nikto Gunner, we've had Vizam, we've had Vidane, and we've of course had Nikto, which I think his real name is Lathe or something like that. Whereas back in the Vintage Kenner line, we only had Nikto. So they've already made more. But in terms of the Vintage Collection, absolutely, I want more aliens. And if I was going to pick one, except for Bib Fortuna that we just mentioned, then it has to be Squidhead. This guy hasn't been made since the Power of the Jedi line in, what, 2001, was it? This guy's well overdue. Squidhead is my #1 alien to be made into the Vintage Collection. And that's the final question for this video. Now, don't forget to enter the giveaway on last week's video, episode 47, I think it was. Of course, Big Bad Toy Store in the US are sponsoring that giveaway. They're putting the prize up for me. It's the Rogue One Black Series Stormtrooper. So make sure you check out their website. I'll leave a link in the description below to their website, so you can just go and check out what they do. They do all the usual action figures, Star Wars, all that kind of stuff. And of course, they do have the collector grade service, which you can pay a little bit extra to make sure that the figure that you get is in perfect, pristine condition and worthy of being graded, essentially. So make sure you check them out. But I thank you very much for watching again this week, and be sure to tune in next week for more questions, more answers, and of course, the result of the 10,000 subscriber giveaway. So as I mentioned, thank you very much for watching, of course, and we'll see you on the next one.